Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another live iThemes training event. My name is Nathan Ingram. I'm the host here at iThemes Training, and I'm joined today by Kathy Zant. Kathy is the queen of marketing. She was dubbed just that in the chat pre-show, the queen of marketing for KadenceWP. How's it going, Kathy?
It's going great. I feel so welcome. Thank you to everyone who's here.
Oh, absolutely. So we've been having some fun and embarrassing Kathy with just all the love from the iThemes and the Kadence audience that's here on Zoom today. We have a fun topic to talk about today, right, Kathy? What are we going to be covering?
Yeah, we do. There have been 2023 is the year of really incremental changes for Kadence. Kadence Blocks 3. I'm going to show you some of the little tips and tricks of cool things that were released with Kadence Blocks 3. And then we're going to look at this design library and how to work with it. But we're also going to talk a little bit about the color palette with Kadence and how that works and how that fits with the design library. And we're going to talk about what this means for the future of building with Kadence towards the end.
A lot of fun stuff to cover. So, folks, if you are just now joining us in Zoom, welcome. We're glad you're here. Pop up in the chat, say hello, and tell us where you're logging in from. We have folks logging in from around the world for this event. It's really exciting to see everybody coming in from lots of different countries. If you have a question throughout today's webinar, we invite you to do that. Just pop open the Zoom Q&A, mouse over the Zoom shared window, and you'll see the Q&A icon. That's the spot to ask your questions as we go. And I just invite everybody to keep that open. And if you see a question asked that you would also like to hear the answer to, press the little thumbs up icon underneath it. And yeah, we will get that question answered in the order of upvotes when we get to the end. This event will be replayed. I'll be sharing that link in the chat in just a little bit. And with that, that's really it. Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm looking forward to seeing how this works.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nathan. And thank you for everybody who is here. Thank you to all of the Kadence community and the iThemes community for your support of Kadence over the past few years. It is growing. The community is growing. The Facebook group, just in the last few months, 1,000 people have joined. It is crazy, but it is so much fun to see everything that you guys are doing with Kadence. That's one of the reasons why I really love marketing this product, is because there's so many cool things in it, but I love seeing what you guys are doing with it and how it is streamlining your businesses, how you are finding new opportunities to reach new customers by leveraging the tools that are in Kadence. That sings to my heart. But with that little emotional tirade, let's dive into the fun stuff. Let's talk a little bit about Kadence Blocks 3.0 and what this means. I think you could just go to the blog and hit the blog section on the site, and you can read this great post that Ben wrote that basically outlines why Kadence Blocks 3 needed to happen. This is a fundamental rewrite of what is happening with Kadence. The code has been rewritten, modernized, and cleaned up and improved. It was basically a restructuring of how Kadence Blocks work. Kadence Blocks was released actually before Gutenberg was ever a part of Core. So Ben was building this product based on what he was seeing with the Gutenberg plugin. And a lot has changed since then. A lot has changed since that cold November morning when Matt Mullenweg stood in Nashville and let us know that Gutenberg was now the default block editor. And so Kadence had to change along with that. So with this fundamental rewrite, it is now giving us the foundation that was needed in order to take Kadence to the next level. So this is going to be the year of really seeing some amazing things happening with Kadence. So with that, I am going to show you just a few of the things that are new with Kadence Blocks 3. I'm sure you can go and read about all of this yourself. We might pop back over there and take a look, but I am going to just show you just some basics with Kadence Blocks 3. We're just going to set up a quickie little row layout. We're going to just set up, row layouts. If you're unfamiliar with Kadence, the row layout block is something that's pretty foundational to how Kadence works and how you're structuring a page. And the row layout block has changed a bit. We're going to show you that in a second. But I wanted to really highlight what you can see over here on the right in terms of how all of the block settings have been reorganized. Before, you would have this long pane here that would have all of your various settings in it. And now these are tabbed and organized between layout, style, and advanced. So everything is easier to find. It might take you a bit if you're just getting started with Kadence Blocks 3 to kind of get that intuitive sense of where those settings all are. But with this new layout, it's going to, as you get used to it, of course, it makes just building so much faster and so much easier. Moving sections between various layouts, between the various layout blocks, we'll just put some basic test text here just so you can see what is going on. And maybe we'll make an advanced image over here and just a select image from, we're going to do cute doggies today because doggies are cute, right? So we're going to have some fun. So with these various sections before, with previous versions of Kadence Blocks, if let's say, for example, I wanted to put the photo over here, it would mean a restructuring. You'd basically have to rebuild from scratch. And now you can just toggle these things back and forth like that, which is super helpful if you have a row layout that has maybe 6 different sections across or many different things. You can also like lay things out differently in much faster ways. So let's say you wanted to have a row layout that has 3 things across, makes things just so much easier to work with. Another thing that's really cool that I really love about the row layout block changes is that when you are dealing with row layouts, the padding, the vertical padding is always something that you're adjusting, right? You can see it now. Look at that. And we have variables that tell you how big that padding would be. So just that visual representation, that visual feedback that you can actually see what is going on with your padding with the row layout, music to my ears, because I'm building sites just like you. So I'm sure these are some of the benefits of having this rewritten so that we could add things like this. Now, all of the various styles, the padding and whatnot is now variable based. So we are setting things up with basically extra small, medium, large, extra large. So there's different variables. This is using CSS clamp now in order to set things. And, you know, as someone who has built websites since before CSS, I have always liked that pixel-based control. I wanted 10 pixels here and 50 pixels there. My greatest analogy with this is to think of CSS clamp as now having an automatic transmission versus having a clutch and a manual transmission. Now, CSS clamp is going to make those kinds of pixel-based determinations and those representations for you. So based on how different screen readers are going to be laying things out. So in terms of responsive design, you don't have to make as many decisions yet. If you are still wanting to drive a manual, it's kind of like one of those fancy cars. I had an Audi once that did this, where I was able to like use a manual transmission if I wanted to, or I could use my automatic transmission. So this is like the Audi of building with WordPress. You can actually set up your pixel-based controls if you want to. And let's say maybe on mobile, you want to have those pixel-based controls. You can do that. And then maybe on desktop, you want to set it up so that it is not. All of those types of layouts and design decisions can be made with that advanced tab with your padding and whatnot. There's all kinds of other settings, of course, that can be set up, but those are some of the main things. Another cool thing that I wanted to highlight is typed text. So we're going to just insert before here, we're just going to do some advanced text. I just want to show you something really cool that was added with Kadence Blocks 3.0. So let's say this is a headline. And let's say we're going to have this be the headline for the site, but we want this word to change. We have something now called typed text. And we can add additional strings. So this is a headline. This is just some text. We can add another string. This could be, what else can we put here? This is your privacy policy, whatever you want to put in there. And what this typed text does, let's see if we can just preview this. It should work just fine. That typed text is an effect where you can change that on the fly. So the first thing that you have there, so here we have headline, that's the thing that's going to be picked up by SEO in your H1 tag, but all of those other variables for when you have something like, for example, Nexus does this on their homepage. There's a lot of different benefits to a hosting provider, right? You want hosting provider that's fast, that's reliable, that has security, like all of the benefits, the product benefits that you might have, and you want to highlight those and add some motion to your site. Typed text is a way that you could possibly do this for one of your sites. So I think that's kind of a fun thing that we have added there. Let's see, what other fun things do we have? Copy and paste styles is another thing that's been added. So you'll see this this here, you can copy that. Let's say we want to paste this down here, we can do that. Obviously those fonts are pretty much the same, but let's say you had a block and you had specific styles set up for that block. Excuse me. You can copy and paste those styles with Kadence Blocks 3. So again, this is a major rewrite of Kadence Blocks. This is something that is going to give us the ability to do so much more, so much faster. And there's, we're right now in the process of redoing the Kadence Blocks Pro plugin and adding some of these same kind of upgrades. So you'll see additions to the Kadence Blocks Pro features that will bring in a lot of the things that we've done here and more. And I know a lot of people are waiting for the form block because the advanced form block is coming. It is in development. The Kadence Blocks Pro plugin will have an extensive beta test period. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're on our mailing list and we will put out a call for people who want to be involved in that beta test for Kadence Blocks Pro. And I don't know what number that's going to be off the top of my head, but this gives you an idea of the fun stuff that Kadence Blocks 3 brings to the table, and so much more is coming. All right.
Hey,
so
Kathy, could we jump in with a few questions about Kadence Blocks that have come in before we go into
Let's do
Design
it.
Library? Okay.
Yes.
So Sue would like to know, does Clamp adjust font sizes on mobile with no specific mobile settings or only padding? Do you know how that works?
Yeah. So the fonts are also, if we see here, this is driving me nuts. So it's going too fast, so I have to move that. All right, so here we're in the advanced, this is the advanced text blocks here, and you can see that the font size is also set up using those Clamp variables. You can also change that to pixels if you want to. So all of the Clamp is basically applied throughout. And it's just a easier, better way for designing. It takes some getting used to, but the sites that I'm building out with it, it's kind of easy. So I'm enjoying my automatic transmission for a change.
Yeah, right. So Sue's saying if she uses medium, large, small, it adjusts to mobile. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yes, it does. That's the beauty of Clamp. I mean, one of the reasons why I stopped coding myself is because of I didn't want to have to design for all of these different screens. I think if Clamp existed back in those days, I probably would have stuck with it because this is super easy. It's like, okay, well, I want an extra large thing here. Let's, if we go down to looking at it on mobile, let's say we wanted to adjust it there. It's going to inherit. So no matter what you're setting up, the beauty of Clamp is that it inherits no matter what screen resolution is calling that page.
Very good. Christine wanted to know, can you add padding around the individual image itself? I think that's actually part of Block Editor now, right?
Yeah, this is the advanced block. And yes, you can do padding. So if I wanted to, set the padding around this particular image, I don't think this is draggable, but I bet that's coming just because how things work. You see it in one place and then eventually it shows up in other places. So just showing you how the padding is working there. So as you adjust it, you can see
Pretty cool.
where the green is, where your padding's at.
Yeah. So along another clamp question here, Carl would like to know, how do the text size settings in the customizer colors and fonts typography section relate to the clamp settings?
Right. So whatever you have set up in the customizer, that gets inherited, right? So that is something. So if you're setting up things in the customizer, let's see, let's go over to the customizer here and take a look at exactly how that works. Let's see, we're going to colors and fonts, and we're going to typography. So here we have our base fonts set with some inheriting type of things going on. So when we have the, let's see, the H1, so we have it as Roboto slab 700 weight and 32 pixels. So over here, let's see, here you're setting everything. Let's see, the fonts there, styles there. Okay. Yeah. So you're setting everything as pixel or RAM. And then this basically sets that standard. Then when you're going into clamp, that's what's going to be addressing various viewports.
So you're setting kind of, this is my base, and then we're going to adjust off of that. That's cool.
Yep.
A bunch of questions coming in for blocks. And I don't want to, we really want to spend some time on the design library. So let me ask you one more question, then we'll move on, and we'll try to address these other questions if there's time at the end.
Sure.
Liam would like to know, when you're editing a block settings on the advanced tab, the default view is for the clamp settings. Is it possible to set the default view to be pixels instead?
I don't know that that is possible. I think it's always going to, you know what? No, that's wrong. Okay. So like if I publish this, because I did just load up, well, that was something that was copied over from, all right, let's just look. I love questions that I don't know the answer to, because it's like, I want to learn too. So let's go and see. Yeah. So that I did that, what, on the picture? Yeah. So it's going to, because I set that, that's what it's going to default back to. So I've set the padding to be pixel based. If I went back and set it to the clamp variables, then that's what it's going to show me. But when you're creating a brand new block, it's going to default over to the clamp variables. But if you're like getting set working with pixels and everything, you're not going to have to like go reset those things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, awesome. Let's move into design library.
All right. So cool. This is fun, right? We've got a new blocks basically foundation. And so the design library, I'm sure a lot of you have been using Kadence before, and you saw the design libraries that we had before, which were really useful and really solved that problem of the blank screen. I mean, it's great to have a blank screen. It's fun, but it's also really helpful when you know kind of like what you're trying to do. And there's just these pre-built patterns that allow you to just dive in and customize them. So the Kadence Design Libraries previously had about 60 different patterns that were pretty much, set in stone. There was an image that came through. There was some, everything kind of came through based on how the professional designer who set up that basic grouping of blocks had determined those to be. Much like with the Kadence starter templates, those are pretty much designed, and you set up some color changes maybe, or some font changes. And then once you do that, all of the royalty-free images come in, the dummy text, the sometimes much more useful text, it all kind of comes in, and all you have to do is edit. So you don't have that blank screen problem anymore. The problem with it was pretty locked in, right? The design was this way. And a lot of times when I was working with starter templates, something would come in and it's like, okay, well, I want my page short. I don't need all this stuff. And I'd end up just like deleting all of these different block patterns because they didn't necessarily match with what I was trying to do. Kadence is taking designing of websites to the next level. And they're taking it in a way that is going to give you much more freedom and flexibility in building things out. So I'm going to show you what the design library looks like now. And it looks very different than what it looked like before. The great thing is they are adding new designs to this design library all the time. In fact, every time I load it up, I'm like, well, that wasn't there before. And it's inheriting from the settings that I have on this particular site. This is kind of cool. So like, let's say I want this particular thing, but I'll probably have to adjust my fonts and stuff, but I want it more dark mode. All I have to do is click this little button down in the bottom here on the style, and my dark mode comes in. This is pretty nifty, right? Because you set up your colors, you set up your scheme, and the new design library is going to inherit based on what you have decided the site is supposed to look like, what the brand is supposed to look like. Here's what it looks like when I select this highlight color here. So everything is kind of more on the blue side. Now, each one of these little block collections is not an image. It is actually creating a little vignette of what that actually looks like. And that's why this can be responsive to the colors of your site. So if I had shown you a different site that had different colors, different fonts, all of this would look completely different. So the design library now is a customized design library for every single site that you install Kadence Blocks on. You'll see, of course, there are some that are pro and you'll see some that are free. It's about, I'd say 60% to 40%, 60% pro, 40% free. But this is the direction in which Kadence is going. This does take some time to load up. And if it's a pain to you, you can always click this over on the bottom here and disable the iframe preview. And then you can just look at, the images, and it's just going to show you, the very basic. So these are all images then. If that load is bothering you, Ben is working on fixing things so that the iframe is much faster. But basically you're loading up a little web page for each individual thing, and that's inheriting from your design. So that's why things can be a little bit slower, but if you have any issues, you can disable that iframe preview, just if you're looking for something really super fast and you already have it in your head that this is going to inherit. That will make things a lot easier. All right. Now, if you're going to work with this design library, there's one thing you have to understand, and that is the Kadence color palette. So we're going to take a quick look at that because this is all inheriting from your color palette, right? So if we don't understand how our color palette works, then everything we're inheriting might be a little crazy and a little wonky. This is my dog's website. He's a test website, as you can tell. But we're going to go into the customizer here, and we are going to take a look at what those colors, that color palette looks like. Now, there is a page on our site that talks about how to use the color palette. So basically you have accent colors, you have contrast colors, and then you have some base colors here. So it's not just like, oh, well, here's my palette, like your Bob Ross, and it's like you've got all of your different colors and you'll decide how you're going to use them as you get into the site. There's some method to the madness here. And this is how things get inherited into that design library. So these accent colors are things like buttons, button hover effects, those types of things. And these can become defaults when you're building out with the design library, or if you're building out things just on your own. So it's really important to understand that. So we're going to do some actual, let's build some pages because Bodhi needs a website. And if I say his name too much, he's going to come over here. So I'm going to have to be kind of judicious about how I do that. But we are going to, let's see, we're going to take what did I do with my customizer? There it is. Okay, we've got our global palette here. And I have some colors that I have found from this really cool website, Color Palettes for Pet Brands. There's a website for everything. I think I've proven that. And so I was looking around just like, okay, give me some ideas of like what to do for a golden retriever. And look at that. I have an actual palette that I can use there. Now it's not all 9 colors, but we've got some colors that we can work with. I didn't even have to think about anything. I just love that. Pretty soon AI is going to tell us what to do. So anyway, I've got these colors. So that pale blue, we are going to just start changing this color palette, and we're going to see how that inherits over. So we've got the pale blue, and then we've got that darker blue. And when we build out the pages, we'll have pictures of Bodhi and some other golden retriever friends, because life is too short to not hang out with golden retrievers. Let's see, we want to keep those darker colors, but let's say this color we might want, let's try that with the yellow. And maybe a peach color. Let's see, the peach is more of a paler color. So maybe we want to do that, this color as the peach. And then we have that orange color, which is definitely a much bolder color. I'm going to choose that one. And if you hover over each one of those buttons, of course, it's going to tell you what the intent is for that. But getting to know your color palette, definitely a positive. Okay, so there's our color palette. I'm going to publish that. And now we're going to go back to our design library. And you know what? I want to create a new page, since we kind of messed on that one. And that was a post. I want to create a page. And I'm just going to create a page from the design library, because not only do we have all of these various patterns, we also have pages. So let's say I want to do a homepage for Bodhi's site. Here we have various home pages that we can use. I don't know. Which one should we go with? I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to prepare the content. And there's our page. And let's say I want less mountains. I mean, I love mountains, but I want more golden retriever in this than mountains. So we are going to go to our row layout. I'm pretty sure that's where that image is. And we're going to choose a background that is a little more golden retriever. And there we go. And let's see, we've got some white text over that. So maybe we want to do an overlay, and we want that overlay opacity to be a little bit darker. We could do that. And then over here, we have an advanced image, and let's say we want to change that. So that is a little more golden retriever. Let's say this is Bodhi's gotcha picture, and that's my daughter, Claire, and they're in the back seat of my old beat up car on their way back home from picking up Bodhi. And so we can pop that picture in there. And then let's say we have other, I'm not going to change all the content because that would require too much thinking, but here's Bodhi and his health routine doing down dog. Let's see. This is just a general cute golden retriever. Not Bodhi, but still, what more can you ask for? And there's Bodhi and getting his very first pup cup at Starbucks. So we can just pop in some pictures. We've got our entire homepage pretty much designed. Obviously, we're going to change some text. There are some changes that I typically make when I am on, let's see, I am going to disable the transparent header. I am going to disable the page title. I'm going to make this full width, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to publish this, and we're going to see what it looks like. Hey, not so bad. For how long did that take me? A couple minutes. Not bad at all. I didn't have to build out any of this. It's all just there. Of course, this isn't set up to be the home page. I probably want to change it to be the home page, but obviously we know where to do that, right? In our settings, we're going to, it's under reading, right? I believe so. And we're going to choose our home page. Let's see, I think it was that one. And now we go to our site. There's our home page. All right, well, no site is complete. I'm going to change the title of this page so it's not number 35, no title. We'll just put home in there so that everything is clear when we're messing with it later, because this is going to be Bodhi's page. We're going to start posting all of his complaints about how I don't give him enough treats. Now we're going to add another page. And let's say we would like to add a page, a contact page, perhaps. We have an about page that we can do, but I don't think we need to really do that for Bodhi. Bodhi has no services, but Bodhi might sell bandanas or something someday. So maybe he'll have shop kit, but we want a contact page, because what if Bodhi is going to be a doggo influencer someday? So we're going to pull in a specific page here. And again, this is pulling in, that accent color that we had set up. Of course, we can change that very easily with Kadence Blocks if we didn't want that to be that particular background color. Let's say we wanted the orange there or the yellow, any kind of, again, with the color palette, it's going to pull in as a palette, as if you were Bob Ross. But again, with the design library, there are some methods to the madness of what's happening there. I feel so corporate going with that blue all the time. Let's go orange. Let's live on the wild side, hey? And then with this particular block, let's say the Find Us block, that section, if we wanted to change that color, we could do that as well. Background color there, maybe we want that to be like a brighter blue. But again, all we'd have to do is change out some content, change some pictures. Let's replace this particular picture and put another cute golden retriever. There we go. And let's not make the same mistake and make sure that that is a contact page. Publish it. And again, look at what we've done. We've published 2 pages in the matter of minutes. Live demo. This is so easy. This design library makes building out sites so much faster. And the great thing about this is, yeah, there's some stuff in here right now, but the team that is creating all of these basic design patterns, they are adding designs all the time. And let's say we wanted to build out a page that had, I don't know, Bodhi's growth as a puppy. Let's say we were doing that, but there's nothing really that makes sense to us in terms of actual pages. We can go into our patterns here and we can one by one build out a page, build out a landing page that specific to this brand based on all of these various patterns. And again, we can change our color scheme. We can go with the light colors. And as you see here, let's just pull this one in real quick. You can see that orange color, that orange accent color here, add an overline text, that is being inherited from that design library. That blue is being inherited, as is the hover effect. So once you make those determinations with your color palette, when you're building out with the design library, it just makes designing so much faster, so much easier, but also you can customize as you get going. So let's say this is, one of the things that we do want to have on this particular page, but then we want to add something else below that. Now, typically, the way I think of a landing page is, the very first thing, your hero type of thing is going to be something that just gives somebody a basic, all they have to do is glance at it and they understand what that page is going to be about. And then as you scroll further down the page, you're diving deeper into an understanding of that particular brand, that product, that dog, and all of those different things are going to explore a deeper relationship. So by the end of the page, you can wrap it up with something that's succinct and a call to action. They've gone through a journey as they've scrolled through that page. So your hero images are all set up to do those concise introductions to the product, to the brand, to the dog. All of that is going to happen in that way. But we have all sorts of different other things that can get pulled in as well. So let's say we wanted to create a section here that talked about what Bodhi was like as a puppy. So we can pull that particular thing in and that will come in right underneath. And let's say, oh, shoot, we wanted to alternate our colors here, but we pulled this in as white. We could very easily, because everything's kind of coming in as these row layouts with various sections set up within them. Let's say we didn't want to do it just that way. We can easily remove that row layout. And then now that we're down below here, we can go in and let's say we want more of the accent color in, and we wanted to do a card there. There's that same one. Again, it's just going to pull in for you. It's very easy to go replace all of your images. And the one thing that kind of miss about this is that, you know, on those various older versions, the images were all the royalty-free ones that were coming in, the starter template pages that were coming in. There's a method to this madness, however, because as we take this design library forward, AI is going to help us start populating the content within all of this, start populating the imagery within all of this, very specific to the brand. So whereas before it's just, you know, lots of mountain pictures and whatnot, now what we're moving towards is, oh, you're building a site for a yoga studio, you're building a site for a golden retriever, AI is going to pull all those pictures. So I don't have to spend any time going through my photos. I don't have to spend any time going on Unsplash, looking at dog pictures and getting distracted for an hour. True story. So all AI is going to save time in terms of how we're going to be building out all of these various sections. It's going to make things much faster. Now, I know a lot of folks who have been around for Kadence for a while, I've seen this question a few times. I really liked the old design library, and there's one particular thing that I really liked, and I really want to keep using it. That is still possible. So if you go into the design library, this is connecting to the Kadence Design Library here, but we can add additional design libraries using connection URLs and connection access keys. And there's tons of people who are using the Kadence Cloud plugin in order to offer their own designs. So it works pretty much the same way. So if we wanted to get into our old Kadence design libraries, there are in the announcement post, let's say we wanted to use the wireframes. We'll do that one first. All you have to do is pop in the wireframe URL, and the connection access key is also in that blog post, and it's lowercase, and then you can add that connection. And now the wireframes are available, and you can see them right up here. So all those old familiar wireframes that you may have been wanting to use before, they're all still there. So you can still use that. That's in the blog post. Let's see, let's just go ahead and add the old design library as well, since I have it right here. That is cloud.cadenceblocks, and section is the access key. That's in the blog post though, but then you'll see that as an additional option up here as well. So your old design libraries are still available. And there's a lot of people who really liked the ability of being able to pull in the old starter templates, and maybe you had a page on a starter template that you wanted to use. If you go into Kadence Blocks controls, and then you go into block visibility, and then you go into the design library, you can say show starter packs library for, let's say, we just want to do it for admins. We can do that. And then that block visibility should be the starter packs are back. So all of the old stuff is still there. And when you graduate away from them, you can delete these here, or you can keep them. So all of that's still available. But the new design library, the new stuff, is growing all the time. And what we're really hoping to do is give you the ability to build sites so much faster, to build pages so much faster. There's so many different options available, and all of these are organized in various ways. But you can also search for things. Like if you just wanted to find all of the tabbed options, you can do that. You can type that into the search up there. And again, it's inheriting from the color scheme that we had set up on that color palette. I feel like we have questions. Nathan, do we have questions?
Oh, we always have questions.
I knew I could feel them.
Yes, they're looming, right? Yes. So folks, if you have questions you haven't asked yet, please pop open the Zoom Q&A and ask the questions there. Some of you may find that some of your questions are answered already. Just hit the answered tab and you can see those answers. And as you are looking at the Q&A, if you have a question, if someone is asking a question you would like to see answered, press that thumbs up icon and upvote that question, and we'll take our questions in the order of upvotes. Alexander, I see your question here. If you could give me some more clarity on what you mean there, you can just do that in the chat. I'm not quite sure I understand the question that you're asking, but we'll start with Liam. Does the copy and paste styles feature, does it copy all the block settings, including tabs, margin, all the things? Does it copy all of that to bring it someplace else?
I believe that it does. So let's see. Let's highlight this, add an overline text, which is orange. So we're going to copy that style, and let's just go down to here and let's paste that style. So it's going to pull everything. If we do the row layout, so we have that highlighted and we want to copy that style. I don't know what this is going to do. But down here, let's see, we want to be on the row layout, and let's try pasting that style. So then it's inheriting all of the things that have been set for that particular block.
Interesting. I have noticed though that when you try to copy from the list view, copy the block and then paste it, it doesn't bring in the styling.
From
like
here.
if you were to copy that, well, if you were to copy that whole row layout, for example.
Oh, so if I was going to go here and copy styles here.
Or copy the block and paste the block.
Okay. Yeah, I have trouble with that one. I'm not sure exactly. You know what I found is if I do a paragraph and then paste, then it comes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, hack.
Interesting. Definitely hacky, but totally works.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to set it to a paragraph, and then I can paste in, like if I'm copying a block from up here and want it down below.
Got it. So Liam, does that answer your question? If not, just drop something else in the chat to give us another nuance, and we'll try to get that answered. Okay, Emily has an interesting question regarding accessibility. So when it comes to some of the animations we were seeing, is there some sort of switch that you can flip where it gives the accessibility option for preferring reduced motion?
I am not sure. I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that we're talking about like the typed text type of thing, that so anything that all of the typed text, all of your additional strings are not necessarily the primary one is the one that like the screen readers are going to pick up on. They're not going to necessarily pick up on the other ones. So that's something to consider.
Yeah. And I think it may be that what she's asking is there are some there might, if there's a setting that would remove the animations altogether.
I'm going to write that down. That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't either. Okay, question here from Tina. Tina says, I've made a light color palette and a dark color palette. Is there a way to switch between the two on individual blocks, sections, or rows, or do they only apply to the whole site?
Oh my gosh. We just had a conversation recently, and I don't remember. It might be something that's either coming, the ability, or it's something that's in there already. There's dark mode. There's something in here already, I'm pretty sure, on how to set something up as dark mode. I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Sue is saying she thinks it's in global settings someplace.
It might be. I just came across it, but I can't remember if I came across it in a what's next type of thing, because in product calls and whatnot, or if it's something that I came across as I was doing stuff. So it might be.
Yeah. Is it the 3 palettes at the top you're talking about, Sue? Palette 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's what she
something,
was
it's
talking about.
something in here. It's something, it's a setting. There is a setting for this. I just can't remember off the top of my head where it is.
I can imagine that this might be a Facebook post coming up in
Yeah.
the Kadence group.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will
All right,
find
so-
out. And if you're in the Kadence group, I'll find out and talk about the color palettes and how things work for dark mode.
That'd
It's a
be
setting
great.
somewhere.
That would be great. And for those of you that aren't in the Kadence Facebook group, just search in Facebook KadenceWP and it'll pop right up. Or it's Kadence. What is it called, Kathy? Kadence
Web creator community.
Web Creator Community, right? I'll find the link for that in just a minute and drop it in the chat. Ben would like to know if there will ever be a text scroll block. And I think what he means by that is like the scrolling marquee text.
I don't know. There might be a feature request. It would be under the Kadence Blocks feature requests, I'm sure, if it's there. And if it's not there, you can add it
There you go.
or upvote it if it is there.
All right. Here is the link for the Kadence Facebook group. If you are not part of that group, you should absolutely join. Next up is, let's see, Emily, where do we add the key for the wireframes?
Oh, like if you want the old wireframes back?
Right.
Yeah. So that is, so what you do is just go to any page, new page, old page. You just have to get into this design library. And then there's a plus sign over here. And so there's a connection URL and then the access key. So you enter those in here and it's, shoot, I lost the window again. Where is it? I can tell you what it is. It is wire.kadenceblocks.com and the connection key is lowercase wire. And that will pull in all of the old wireframes. And then for the sections for these guys, that is cloud.kadenceblocks.com and the key is sections. And then for the starter packs, it's just a little bit different. You have to go into a page, go to the Kadence Blocks controls, go to block visibility. Feels like a marathon already. And then where you want which user level you would like the starter packs libraries to show for. And you'll find it probably to be no users. So you just have to say, you know, let admin see it, that type of thing. And of course, here you can also set the design library button. You can turn it off. So like if you don't want your like if you're developing sites for customers and you don't want them, they're all editors, you might want to say minimum role is admins. You can do all of that here and basically turn off the design library if you don't want your customers going crazy with the design library.
Very good. All right. And hat tip to Carl in the Q&A. What we were looking for with dark mode is a pro add-on called Dark Mode Switch. And the link to the blog post is there in the chat.
Amazing. Thank you, Carl. I knew it was there somewhere.
Let's see. Michael. Oh, yeah. I was just about to ask the same thing, Michael. Kathy, is there a spot where all those keys you just you mentioned are that can be accessed later if folks want to find those?
Yes. Well, that is not, you want to go to the Kadence blog, the blog post that announced the design library. And then down at the bottom here, there is all of the instructions on how to do it.
All right. So there is the link and the instructions are there on that blog post. And actually, I'm going to drop these in the chat. So for those that are watching this on a replay, there it is. It's in the chat log at 1:52 p.m. All right. I believe that's the end of our questions, Kathy. No, one more from Alexander. In Global Palette, we have 4 text type colors. Can I use these colors not only for text, but also for backgrounds?
You can do that. Yes. The design library, when you're pulling things in, is going to pull from specific settings there, right? So yeah, all of these text colors, you can do whatever you want. These are going to be used as background colors. So this is just showing you, but like if you, like what I was showing you when I was working with individual blocks and I was like, okay, well, this came in as a blue, but I want it to be an orange. You can change that. It's just, so you can do whatever you want here with this, with the color palettes. It's just to be cognizant of how the design library is going to consider these as you're developing things, and your site defaults too. So if you're adding a button, it's going to pull from the accent colors. So understanding how that color palette works is going to help make your sites much faster, developing your sites much faster, because you're inheriting from a framework. If that makes sense. And there's a blog, or not a blog post, I think it's a help document on how to use the color theme color palette. So this goes through a deeper understanding of how it works. So here's a discussion of the contrasting text colors and some examples of what you might want to do, those base background colors and how you might want to do that. And also a little mention there about accessibility, because as you're doing accent colors, you want to make sure that like the cooler examples, like there's some contrast between those things so that you're designing for accessibility.
Absolutely. All right. Question here from Tino. Okay. This is, put your thinking cap on. Ready? All right.
Okay.
When I'm editing a page, the CSS updates in the blocks displays immediately when you update the CSS right in the block, right?
Okay.
It updates right there in the editor. If I have CSS that I add to the customizer, the blocks on the page don't reflect those changes, and I don't see that until I preview the page. Does that sound right?
So you're adding some like global CSS.
That's what it sounds like.
The customizer, and you want that inherited throughout the whole site, but it doesn't show up until you publish.
Yeah, Sue's got an interest.
That makes sense.
Have you tried refreshing the page you're editing? Like save it and then save it as a draft and then refresh it, Tino?
Yeah. There could be caching going on there. And depending, yeah. So there could be a lot of different things going on with like global settings, and how those are inherited. And so it makes sense that there might be some delay that you're experiencing there. Because if it's not loading, I don't know that CSS from the customizer loads here in the actual page, does it? Does it?
In the editor? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, it kind of I would imagine that it would, because my fonts are loaded, because I've got the customizer fonts, the general generic fonts set over in the customizer for Roboto and Roboto Slab, and I'm seeing that here. So I would imagine that it would. You might have some caching going on or some other kind of issue, but it should be showing up. Any kind of custom CSS should be showing up.
Like Sue is saying, if you happen to have, like if you have two tabs open and the customizer's in one and the page is in the other, obviously you have to reload that page. Or you might, the the trick that seems to cure many things for me is the shift refresh, holding down shift, hit refresh. That forces the page to reload. Yeah, that's weird, Tino. I don't think that should be happening for you.
Yeah, or caching. It's always caching. Can I just blame all problems in life on caching?
Browser caching has gotten a lot more aggressive lately, I've noticed, especially on mobile browsers.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah. All right. One more question here from Emily. This is a good one. Okay. Thinking cap question number 2. Can I make a Kadence child a hybrid theme using theme.json with the child?
Somebody else just asked me that question, and I am not sure if we're inheriting from theme.json yet. It was something I was going to talk to Ben about, but I don't have a call till tomorrow. Join the Facebook group, because I'll put an update on that.
On all the things in Facebook.
Oh, I had like a few people ask me that question, and I just haven't had a chance to ask Ben what our plans. I feel like I've had this conversation. My memory's going. Nathan, I'm getting old. What's going on? I'm like, where did I have these conversations? Yeah. So there is an answer to that, and I will post it in the Facebook group.
There you go. All right. That's going to bring us to an end. Kathy, wrap us up here. Give us your final takeaways from today.
AI is going to be building websites. It's going to be building websites, and it's going to be building websites using Kadence really soon. Get familiar with the design library because it's really powerful. And when the AI starts showing up in all of this, it's going, as you understand how the design library works and how the colors work and everything, it's going to make building sites so much faster. You just saw what, silly old me could do, building out a few pages with the new design library. Imagine when our new overlords show up in this with the AI.
Absolutely. So just yesterday, we did our April news roundup on iThemes training. I just dropped the link for that in the chat. We have a new AI news section, and some of the things I showed in that section, particularly about how some really smart WordPress developers are bringing OpenAI into the editor, like with a command, typing in, add a cover block that's black with this text and a call to action, and boom, it just appeared. It's absolutely amazing. And we're just on the opening skirt of AI here. It's just, could not agree more.
And some of the stuff I'm seeing with what our team is doing, it's going to be even more powerful than that. Can I say that?
That wasn't a tease or anything.
It's going to be so cool. Nathan will blow your socks off.
I can't wait. All right, folks. Well, thanks for hanging out with us for the last hour. Hopefully you've seen some really cool things and you're excited even more about what Kadence can do. Thanks for hanging out with us, Kathy. Thanks for really great information today. We'll have this replay up in about an hour or so at the link that I'm going to share one more time here in the chat. That link will also contain the chat log with all the links that were shared along the way, as well as the transcript and, of course, the video replay. So that is it. Thanks for hanging out with us. My name is Nathan Ingram from everybody here at iThemes. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you back here next time on iThemes Training, where we go further together.